you did 20% of the volume that you submitted for the entire year of 2023 in the first week of 2024. Hello and welcome to Life Insurance Today. I'm your host, Edward Pritchett, and I am so excited for this call today. This is one of those first of the year calls that you hope you can create something like this in your organization, your agency, your business. And so I'm excited for this, honored to be able to share more of what this particular individual is doing and will continue to do. And I've told you, Life Insurance Today, what we're looking to do is share more information about how you can take advantage of the best practices, principles, and ideas in the insurance industry and beyond to help you grow your business. And here's the thing, guys, that business doesn't have to be insurance. Like, it can be just any kind of business where you're selling something to someone else, because my father always said it, and still does, the principles of success are universal. So I am excited to be joined by, as we say, the one, the only, Mr. Ike Muonelo. Sir, I have just a quick introduction that I want to give to the folks that are watching to help them understand why they need to stay tuned. Like, don't go anywhere right now, because here's the thing, guys. This is someone who has a background, as I do, in engineering. You didn't go to school to go into sales, to go into marketing, to go into finance. You got into sales. You did fairly well, door to door. Like, you were out there in Oklahoma, right, driving around, doing sales in the insurance space for a while. And you struggled a little bit, like I did as well. I probably struggled more than you did when I first got started in the industry, but you found a stride. You started plugging into a lot of sales training. You worked and started to build an agency and an organization with Symmetry Financial Group, the company that I'm working with. You did that for a while. You took a break from that. You're like, well, this might not be, there's some other things I want to explore. You took a break for a couple of years. And here recently, in the last 2.5 years, right, came back into insurance full time. You said, I'm going to do something different this time. And I can remember in 2022, I looked at your numbers, and in 2022, and this is why you need to keep listening. All right, don't go away. Hang on one more brief second. In 2022, you did a grand total of $94,000 in sales. Yep. Not bad. I mean, like, there's plenty of people who are looking back at their 2023 numbers and like, man, I wish I had done $94,000 in sales. That would have been great. I would have made something. All right. But that wasn't what you were shooting for. You had been making more before this. But 2022, $94,000 in sales. Guys, in 2023, we've been crunching the numbers. We're factoring everything ins and outs, and we'll go over more numbers as we dive into this. But in 2023, Ike, you finished the year with $697,969.84 in what we call, like, our parlance is uncapped. So we're counting the whole application, okay? Because you get paid on the whole application. That's a 636% jump in the premium that you submitted year over year, okay? And not only that, like, it'd be one thing to write that amount of production, but we get paid on what gets issued. And just through the end of November, because we don't have all of the final numbers, they actually just came in today, but we haven't had time to run them, all the final numbers for what placed in December. But just off of what we have so far, you had a net place of 76.3%. That means you placed over $530,000 already. There's more that's going to be added to that number when we add in the December place numbers, because those have just finally been finalized. If you were on 100% contract at whatever company that you're with, imagine that. Like if you were on 100, if you were on an 80%, shoot, if you were on a 50% contract and you placed $530,000 in premium for the year, you would have had a great year. And I know you're on an even higher contract than just a 100% contract. So I wanted to share that to hopefully get some folks to stop and pay attention, because we're going to talk about like exactly what it did. And it wasn't that complicated. I love when you were telling me about it. It was like, it wasn't that complicated of what you did to go from $97,000 one year to almost $700,000 just 1 year later, right? And like you were doing that throughout that next year, right? So it happened really even faster than just a year, right? You did all that production over the year, but from 1 year to the next, to jump in your production by over 600%, right? While placing good business. And man, I know you're in the process, like you're finishing up building a home. Like you just kind of got started and decided to do it this year because guess what? There was some money to be able to do it. Finishing up a home for you and your family. Like, tell us a little bit more just about who you are, and we'll dive into this a little bit. But I want to start off with really, I want them to understand like who you are and where were you coming into this, like before 2022. Yeah. Like what was going on before, and what did 2022 look like when you were like, I'm gonna do this insurance thing again, and then 2022 happened, you're like, okay, it's not exactly what I was planning on doing here, but right. Well, tell them a little bit about yourself. I'll stop talking and let you kind of run with it for a second there.
Well, I appreciate it, Edward. And just when I hear those numbers, it really is one of those things where we all set high goals, and sometimes we don't achieve them. But when you hear it, when you've achieved a goal that you want, it makes you feel even better. And the reason I'm saying that is as I go back to my background, I'm, my real profession is professional basketball player, right? I used to play professional basketball in Portugal. When I got hurt, I passed on. I became an engineer, fell off of my engineering degree. And as an engineer, I was really looking for more freedom. I was looking for more money. I was looking for just complete, kind of almost like what I had with basketball. I never thought I'd find it in insurance, by the way. I kind of fell into insurance, and when I did, it was a struggle, I think, like for everybody, because I think for the most part, we think of insurance, like there's probably some people that are listening here that maybe they're not in insurance, but they're thinking, I could never be in insurance. And just so you know, that's what I thought, right? That's what most people in insurance think.
I think that's what everybody thinks when they first get started.
Yeah, because we don't really know what the industry is like. And so, fast forward, I had got into Symmetry in late 2016, 2017, and really great company, great, everything was great, but whenever you start doing something and you don't really have any real goal of doing it, you're just kind of going through the motion. What happens then is the next shiny object or the next thing that you think may be better, because there's no focus there, it's easy to look at something else. And so did okay with Symmetry first couple years, and then decided
let me, you just said something that was important right there. When there's no focus on what you're doing, or when you have no real buy-in to what you're doing, it's easy for other things to attract your attention. And I see that happen a lot, not just in our industry, but in anybody who's trying to start a business. If I'm not really focused on, I'm gonna make it here, everything else, like, it's amazing how exciting everything else starts to look, you know?
Yeah, no clear why, right? No, we always talk about, and some of this people hear and they say, oh man, I don't want to hear this again, but there's no clear why of why you're doing it. And so that's what happened. And so left Symmetry in 2019, I believe, and really had no intent of getting back into insurance. It was one of those things. I had a great opportunity and made more money in that opportunity. And I found out that it's one thing to do well. It's another thing to have a group of people that you could help do well. And that's really where I started figuring out what I like, right? And it wasn't just making money. It's also helping people. And it's kind of seems, from my personality, it was like, wow, you really like helping people. And I was like, I guess you do. So I decided that I was going to get back into insurance. And at that time, I decided that, you know what, I'm not just going to go back into insurance regularly. This time I got a little bit of resume. Let me start interviewing some companies and some things. And fast forward to after about 4 or 5 companies, I said, you know what? There is no company I actually want to work for. There's no company I want to partner with. And I said, forget about the company. Let's look at a person, right? Who amplifies what I want, and not just in business, but as a person. And that's when I called you, right? I remember the phone call. I still remember exactly where I was too. I was in Dallas, and we had this party, and I was underneath the thing, and I remember talking to you thinking, man, Edward, I want to be on your team, right? I don't know if you remember that conversation, but that first conversation was what started man, I don't know if I could be on Edward's team, but if I can, right? This will probably get me back in insurance. So I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I do remember the conversation. And I mean, it was one of those things where I think what you're saying is I want to connect with a mentor.
Exactly.
Right? Like it's not about, like, I love the companies that I work with. No company, I was talking to some new agents yesterday. No company is perfect. You stick around with any company long enough, you're going to find something that you don't like, something that you wish is better, right? I mean, a company is intended to grow and change and innovate. So there is no company that has everything that you're looking for. I guarantee that, okay? You may be in the process of helping to create that company, but as soon as you create that, guess what? Somebody's going to come along and they're like, well, but I would like this to look like that, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's the people that you partner with, right? Have those conversations. Who are you looking to partner with that will help you navigate the good, the bad, and the otherwise at any company, any opportunity that you're out there? It's the people that you're in business with that are going to not make you, like, it's not, I didn't make you better, right? But you were able to operate from this place of, okay, I have a partner that I can work with. I have someone that I can go to for mentorship when I need, and someone who we can be, to a certain degree, like we can be running buddies as we push each other up and, you know, call and kind of, we're both in the same contest right now. And like, you know, we take those nice, good jabs at each other, but like we're motivating one another. So that's a key thing that I think any person in any kind of business should be looking at, is who am I partnering with? Who am I getting in business with?
Yeah. Now you just said it best. Is you don't get in business with the company, you get in business with people. And whenever I made that phone call and I got back into insurance, it's like, you know, it's almost like whenever we talk about people that say just get back on, it's like riding a bike. Mm-hmm. Well, got into insurance, got back in, and realized it's not so much like riding a bike. You know, I mean, 2000
things have changed a little bit, right? Like there's some things that happened globally that changed it just a little. It's a different kind of bike. It's still a bike. It's a different kind of bike.
Yeah, things change. You change as a person. You know, you start figuring out some of the things that you know, when we always talk about, we want people hungry. The hungriest people are ready to do whatever. When you get to a point where you're like, you know, I don't think I want to make 1,000 phone calls in a week, right? But what ended up happening is 2022. I worked in 2022, by the way. So it wasn't that when you read off those numbers and I hear that 94,000, it's amazing to say this, but and this is going to be part of what we're talking about. But it's amazing to say this. That 94,000 might have been harder. Actually, I know for sure it was harder than the 697,000 I wrote. Right? And it's easy. As I think about it, I think, yeah, because that was a grind. Yeah. It was a grind, right? And you talk about the big mo, but that's where everything was, and that's where I was in 2022. Mentally, I was ready. However, as far as work-wise and thinking-wise, I wasn't. You know? Okay.
And now, before we talk about, so what changed that? Because that's what everyone's looking for, right? I mean, the only reason that you might be on this podcast, on YouTube, listening to this in whatever manner, you're looking for something to make your sales career better, different, more vibrant, more production, more. And so there's something that you're saying, if I could change this, or what do I need to change, or what is that change element? And before I have you reveal what it is, and here's the thing, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little bit of a clue. You already know what it is. You already know what it is. You're listening because you need to hear it again and hear it in some way that's gonna make you believe it this time. Okay? But what do things look like now? I mean, it's a year has passed, a year of doing almost $700,000 of production with a 76% placement rate. Again, that number is going to go higher once we add in the December place numbers. What you said, it was easier to write this than it was the 94,000. What feels different? What are you excited for in 2024 now when you get to look back on a year like you had in 2023?
Well, it's duplication. Once you've done something and you realize that it's a formula, and most of the formula is belief. So it's one of those things where once you've done it, you look back and you're like, you know what? It wasn't really that hard, right? And not only now can I do it again, but now I can teach other people how to do this. And when we get into insurance, I hate to, whenever I see the numbers of, I don't know, what is it, the 10%, 8%, 9% make it, to whenever I see those numbers after last year, I look at it and I've said, it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't be that way at all, right? That happens. The reason most people aren't succeeding in insurance is because they just don't know any better. Yeah. They haven't seen the other side of it, right? And so I'm excited about not just my life and what's going on now. You create systems to where you have a lot more freedom than you did beforehand. But I'm also excited about duplication and growing.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, it's, as you're saying, this business can be systematized, especially what we have learned. Like post-COVID, we've learned a lot about how you don't have to be out on the road, as both you and I did. You back in 2000, what were you saying, like 2014, 15, yep. Getting started in the insurance industry. I got started in the insurance industry in 2008. Like, we were definitely on the road back then. And not that was that large of a span of time between those 2 points, but like, there was a way that we did this business. Things have shifted. We can get more efficient with how we see our clients. As you're saying, once I get the role, like I can figure out how to do it myself. And now I can get people to help me do what I'm doing, right? That could be, and I don't just mean hiring agents. Like, I know you're someone who, like myself, you take the lead on, let me staff up to help me do more production, right? And if I have staff that's helping me, they're earning a great income. They're helping me to grow my business. And now I can take that time that I'm buying back by getting staff to help me. Now let me go over here and duplicate what I'm doing as well on the production side. And this is how the business, just step by step, you get to level up what your business is. And I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing here in 2024 because of, again, what you did, the example and the pace that you set in 2024. Or I'm sorry, in 2023.
Yeah. And I learned about from you, by the way. Remember it was slow down to speed up, right? And that's where you talk about staffing up. So that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it. What is it? What was the thing that changed between December? Because I can remember we took a trip. We had a whole bunch of calls in December of 2022 with you, me, a handful of other folks that we were having some discussions with. We took a trip to an undisclosed location in Florida. Around, was that the end of January? End of January, 1st of February?
That was the end of January.
End of January of 2023. And coming out of that, like, this is what I was thinking. I was like, either he's got it, or this is going to be a spectacular explosion. I was like, either the moment happened, or this will be another one of those, well, he was a good guy.
Well, and you know what? It could have went either way too, and I think that's important because beforehand in 2022, at the end of 2022, whenever I saw, I saw your production, and again, I've never really seen you produce, right? So And to be fair, I've never really seen anybody produce spending all their time doing it and not having any other free time. So I think sometimes whenever we think about production, we think if you're listening to this, you're an agent and you're thinking, in order for me to do a lot of production, I have to spend all day, all night on the phones. I have to be prospecting. I have to be calling. I have to hear these no's, and I have no other life. Because I remember I used to look at the leaderboards, and this used to be my out, right? I see people on the leaderboards, I see their high numbers, and I say, well, at least I got to spend time with my kids today, right? At least I got to do this. They probably, you know, that's what
I hope people are listening, because I know there's a lot of people who are telling themselves those get out of jail statements, right? Right now, right? Because same thing. I totally agree. I told myself the same thing. Oh, well, the reason that I'm not doing that is because, right? Or at least I got to do. Well, is it true though? Is it true? Go ahead. Try to interrupt.
No. You're exactly right. And so I made that decision in 2022 when I saw that the first time in my life. I said, well, hold on a second. Edward's producing a lot. He has a big team. He has other business. There's other things that he's doing. So there's a way to not just be a top producer, but there's also a way to do it and then still have time for everything else. And so the most important thing I realized is I'd always followed a schedule, but I realized that what if I treat my schedule more important than anything else? You know, what if, and I'm sorry, let me back up. Before that, to that point, I said, I'm going to beat Edward Pritchett. That's what I said. I said, you know what? He has all these things going on. I need to set a goal that he's not going to hit in 2023, and I'm going to commit to it. And the reason I'm talking about the commitment is because, like you said, that meeting could have went anywhere, and even after that, it still was about to flop. Right? There's a lot of things that could have happened that I said, no, I'm going to make this thing work, and it was because of that commitment. The commitment was to write 400,000. I thought that was going to be enough to beat you. And a good thing I did more, because I think you wrote, how much did you write last year? 500,000. So I'm like, good thing the bar was raised. Yeah. So I'm glad the bar was raised on there. But I think it starts with that commitment. And it wasn't just, I hope I do this. It was, I'm going to do this no matter what.
Yeah.
You know.
And we'll pause on because we got to stay on this, guys. Because there's a lot of people who think that they think that they're committed. They really do believe that they're committed, and things come up, right? Their team or their organization is doing a conference, and for some reason they're committed, but they can't make that conference.
Yep.
Right? They say they're gonna get leads every single week, and something comes up. Guys, I've been there. You know, you got to pay this bill, you got to pay that bill. Life is going to keep happening. Even while you're committed to hitting your goals, life is still going to happen. But this is where you have to tell life, I thank you for throwing that at me, but I'm committed. I'm going to find a way. As you were saying, like this, the opportunity, you were looking for ways that you can really get into that index universal life, participate in the whole life market around infinite banking concept, some of the debt-free life stuff that we do. And you said, I know I can do it. I understand the product. I have a connection that can make this happen. Let's have the conversations. You had the conversations, you set up the meetings, you went and you presented to a large group of folks, and it was like, it looked good. But even over those first 2, 3, 4 months, as you said, like it could have gone either way, but you were committed, right? There were things that they asked of you to do. And I told you I would help you get this off the ground, but like at the end of the day, I tell you, I was straight with you. I was like, this is your baby. You got to go to work for it, right? Yeah. You know, like there's nothing that you're doing in this that I can assist you in, other than just in that initial, like, let's make a strong impression right off the bat, like that show of force. That was the only reason I was there, right? But then after that, you had to be committed to, if I have to stay up late to get these reports over to these guys, I'll stay up late to get these reports. If I have to figure out what's going on with this insurance carrier, and hey, I didn't know about this. Like we dealt with some issues with insurance carriers, right? Like you started writing so much business that the insurance carriers like, wait, we got to cap how much commission we're paying out, because like we're, you know, and you realize and you're like, oh, can we make some calls? Can we work and figure this out? Never once did you call me up saying, I can't believe this is how I'm done with it. Like, they're not paying me. No, you said, look, I'm committed to making this work. We're going to go through some situations. We're going to have challenges. What do we need to do? And you kept every step of the way. That focus was on getting your production done in this manner. And that's when people ask me, what kind of leads should I get? What kind of business should I write? Who should I if you're committed to what, like, you make a decision. I know there's an organization out there that one of the ways they teach their agents to talk to people is to go up while you're at the grocery store, at the mall, tap them on the shoulder, and they have their quick little one-liner, and that's how they get a lot of business, right? If you're committed to that, you can make money doing that. Most people aren't committed to doing that, right? Most people won't make the commitment to do that. So whatever it is, that commitment word, it has to be that full commitment. And that's what I have seen and continue to see from you. It's just that full commit. You're like, this is happening. Hell or high water, we're getting it done. And now that you've done it this past year, now comes the time where you get that opportunity to optimize, to make it more effective, more efficient, to, as you were saying earlier, to duplicate it. And man, like, here's the thing. How many people, just thinking about this right now, how many people on your team right now, like just the individuals you have on your team, that if they're willing to learn, and I know you've been diving into sales training, like that's another part of your commitment, right? Spending the time to elevate the way you sell so that you can be more effective and efficient throughout this year. Because you didn't start off in January, February, and March writing $30, $40, $50,000 a month. Like, it started off like, you was like, okay, oh wow, I did 18,000. That's pretty good. Like, that's a solid month. And I mean, just over the year, just it went through. Actually, what was, just to lock this in, and we're gonna wrap it up here in a second, because that's the thing. But just to lock this in, you started in one place, and like I said, $18,000, $19,000, $20,000 a month. That was a regular month that you could go out and do. What was your production last week? So last week, so we're sitting here, we're recording this on Thursday, January the 11th. The first week of the year was, obviously Monday, January 1st through Friday, January 5th. How much production did you turn in, uncapped? I want to know the whole thing. How much production did you turn in, and how many applications did you turn in last week?
Yeah, 30 applications for 144,000. It's crazy
Guys,
even saying it out loud.
Guys, he did 697,000 for the entire year in 2023. And his first week of 2024, he wrote 30 applications for 144. I got to do the math on this for a second. 144,000 divided by 697,969. You did 20% of the volume that you submitted for the entire year of 2023 in the first week of 2024. Like, we got to cut this and put this on the front end of this video so that people will stick around to hear how it's one word that is getting you these results. And that's why I'm excited, I'm privileged, I'm honored to even be able to have this conversation, to get to work with someone like yourself who actually is committed. And that's what anyone who's watching this, if you're wanting to change 2024, if you want 2024 to look different than 2023, just like Ike had to make this decision for himself between 2022 and 2023, it's around that word commitment. Have you made a decided? Are you really cutting away at all the other distractions and putting that focus? You have a game plan with a mentor. I picked up the phone and made that call in December of 2022. He said, next year has to be different. Here's my idea. He said, what do you think? He didn't say, here's what I'm going to do. He said, what do you think? And we had a discussion and we worked out a game plan, and then we executed on the initial, and then he took it and ran with it for the remaining portion of 2023. And that's why he got those results, and why he's continuing, right? His 2024 is already trending like I don't even want to run the trend lines on that, but like if you trend it where you kept those numbers up for the rest of the year, that's a couple of IMOs. Like you knock them out of their top places at some of these carriers. But this is what it is. And for those of you who are watching as you're getting started with your year, my hope for you, my desire, my wish for you is that you find your full commitment today. And last question for you, and I want you to kind of give them a piece of advice before we close this out. How long does it take to become fully committed? Like, did it take you months and years of planning for that? Was there a moment? I know we've done some training around this that has helped our team make some great decisions and commitments. What would you give them about how do they move from not fully committed into this place of being fully committed?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about commitment and I think about that when I made that decision, you can't have commitment without sacrifice, right? And I'm a sports guy, and I like football season, basketball season. And I remember hearing this quote one time, and it said that, the real definition of sacrifice is giving up something you love for something you love even more. And I'm 2023, that no sports, no basketball, no football. I can't even tell you who won the Super Bowl, the champ, nothing. There was no TV, there was no sports, there was nothing. I said, if I want something to be different, I have to be different. And that decision was made instantly. It was commitment. What am I going to sacrifice for? And then from then it was not looking back.
It's a moment. It's a moment. And you can try to tell yourself that it's not, but if you're telling yourself that it's not, then maybe it's not painful enough for you, right? I think you look back and you reflect, you're like, I cannot let it be. You were talking about it earlier. What is your why? If the why is not strong enough, then the pain isn't going to be strong enough to make you make that decision in a moment. The decision to become fully committed and say, you know what? I don't care that I love all this stuff. My love for this is far more important, and it's so painful that I don't have this in my life. Therefore, today, right now, I'm making a commitment. I'm a firm believer, and you can knock me on this all you want. I'm a firm believer in cold turkey. When you've made a decision, when you've decided that you're not going to do something, right? I get it. There's an addiction and this, that. Okay, it's out. But when you've decided, you've made a commitment, you're not looking back, right? You'll still be tempted. We're not saying you're not going to be tempted, but you made a decision and you're saying, I am not doing X, Y, Z anymore. This is what my life is going to look like. And when you make a decision to make your business explode and you're committed to that decision, it's going to explode. It's just a matter of time. So, man, again, appreciate you taking the time to share. I hope this, as you said, that just that love, that care for people, helping people is something that drives me. I want more. We're in $1 trillion industry, and we have, as you were saying earlier, over 92% of people don't make it through their first 9 months. The average income for a life insurance agent is still less than $35,000 a year. It's just, it's silly when we're in $1 trillion industry like we are. We need more people to be able to do exactly what you're doing. How can they, if they want to follow you, get in contact with you? I know you're putting a lot of new stuff out as you were focused on one thing last year, and I know you're already gearing up. You're shifting gears on where that focus is going this coming year. How can they stay in contact with you, find out more about you? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So I'm just keeping it simple because we have a lot coming out. But my website, theinsurancejock.com. We're going to be putting a lot of training and a lot of information out there, and so
that's The Insurance Jock.
theinsurancejock.com.
Okay. All right, I like that one. All right. That gives Life Insurance Today a run for its money, because that's I can remember.
Well,
that.
I was a jock in insurance, and so
I like it. All right, so theinsurancejock.com. Check that out. And we'll put some of the other, I know you have some other social media feeds and stuff like that. We'll put that in the comments. So check him out below. Guys, leave a comment if this made you think something different, right? Like if this changed your mind about something, or maybe it just got you questioning something. What is that? What are you thinking right now? Like, don't wait till tomorrow to put like, what is on your mind? Like, what is kind of burning inside of you right now after hearing what Ike just shared? Put that in the comments, because we need to get people talking about this. That's what's going to allow more of all of us to find the success that this industry can provide and does provide to those who take it. So again, Edward Pritchett, my special guest, Mr. Ike Muonelo, Life Insurance Today. That's it for us on this day. Join us next time to learn more about how you can grow your business through the knowledge, insights, and experience that we share here on Life Insurance Today. Thank you for joining us.